It is Powwow.
The Powwow with Mo podcast.
What up, and welcome to the Powwow with Mo podcast. I'm Mo.
I am Powwow.
And this is episode 20. And if I knew what the anniversary years were, I'd be like, this is the silver edition. But I don't remember.
Yep.
We'll see. So a lot's happened. We took a week off
We
because
did.
you were real busy last week.
Yes.
And here's the thing. We've discussed trying to have like a bottle episode, like just chilling there for when that happens. But we do a lot of current event stuff.
And it's tough.
And it won't be current. And then we were like, well, we could just do 2 this weekend and have one ready and just be a week behind, but then we'll all be like a week behind.
Exactly.
And that don't seem fun either. So we're just going to deal with it.
Yep, exactly.
And we might do 2 someday. Who knows?
Exactly right.
But so, Powwow, you said you had a lot of current events, I'm sure, because it's been a while.
Yes.
So what are some stuff going on?
Okay, so one thing that I had seen was this crayfish issue that's going on over in Europe.
Okay.
And so what it is there was back in the, I believe it was...
Is it crayfish like a crawdad?
Yes, but they're calling it crayfish, so I don't know if there's any difference between our like crawdads, crawfish, and their crayfish, except for this cloning issue.
Okay.
So what it is that back in the day, there was this scientist that took over this crayfish, and it's one that comes from South America and in the Texas area. And it was just a kind of a fun pet. Then he gave it to quite a few people, and then he started noticing it in stores. Well, now it's unfortunately taking over populations in lakes, and the problem is that it is now a 100% female species. There's no males.
All right.
And the reason for that is they do not need males to reproduce. They actually give little baby clones that grow up as obviously themselves or whatever their genetic passing is.
Well, I would assume... I mean, I don't know a lot about cloning, but, I'm into sci-fi.
Yeah.
That every clone would be like a little less pure than the original.
Exactly.
And then, so eventually it becomes
Eventually
some
you're going to have the Asgard
bastardized...
issue that we have.
Right, the bastardized version of the crayfish.
Exactly right. So, but they said that when they lay the eggs, obviously there's no mating needed, that they can lay hundreds at a time. And obviously, if you don't have to have a male come by...
I mean, can you eat these things?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
They're taking over the current populations of others.
Well, I mean, why don't we just farm them out at such a rate and we just all love crayfish?
And that's...
We're going to have to do something.
Agree. I don't know what they're going to do, but I know that it said that you could just wade out into the water with the light, and then with their bare hands, these people are catching 150 or more an hour.
Damn.
Like they said, it's just crazy everywhere.
That is crazy.
So I thought that was a little nuts.
Yeah, and I know you were trying to tell me about the other day, and you're like, remind you of the Orville, because they're like a one male
exactly right
gender thing. But the thing is, and this could all be made up stuff, because you read crazy stuff on the internet, and how many times we really check sources. But we're like, it has been known for a woman where this could happen in humans.
Yeah.
Like if all males died, some women might still get pregnant off the sheer desire to be pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. I mean, I do find it crazy, but it came out in the New York Times. It came out in BuzzFeed and quite a few other news. It's been quite popular now for like the past week and a half or so with regards to the different posts that they have put out there or articles regarding it. But I am kind of excited to see what they're going to do with it, if it's going to be an invasive species that causes problem or degradation to their fish populations in Europe, or if it's going to explode some fish populations that would have been eaten by other larger fish anyway, and now those larger fish are eating these crayfish.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know how, because it's all weird science stuff, but it reminds me of some weird shit I've seen lately. I saw some article on Facebook or Reddit, and I clicked another article in one of those internet rabbit holes, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's this thing, and I wish I would remember the name, but it's some scientific name for basically people are attracted to people with the same genes as them. So, like...
Which is weird.
The story I originally read that got me down this rabbit hole was a girl was adopted as a little kid, found her biological father through Facebook, reached out to him, and now they're getting married.
It's so weird.
And they're going to have charges filed against them, of course, in whatever state it was in, because they were trying to keep that a secret or something, and now it's come out. And then that led me to, it was like in this article was like, there's another case similar where it was a son and a mother, and they were getting married, but they came out with it and got charges filed because they wanted to bring awareness to this, whatever the scientific term is for, it's like autosexual attraction, genophobia, whatever, right? Some crazy shit. And then I was like, and then so it just basically took me on this rabbit hole of all these people claiming they have that. And there's pictures of brothers and sisters on like Twitter being like, no one fucks my sister but me. And you're like, there's no way this is real. And then I'm like, Game of Thrones has ruined people.
Exactly.
The influence is real. So I don't have siblings. So but I would assume that there's something there where you're like I have cousins,
Where you're just
in
like,
which
no,
I'm
I'm
like,
good.
there's no way in a million years. Like that's my
It's like,
cousin.
that's my family.
And I would assume that would be even stronger with siblings.
You would assume. I mean, it's funny you bring that up because there was actually a mother and daughter in Duncan here in Oklahoma.
By my hometown.
Exactly. That was charged with incest. Got a deferred 10-year sentence. The daughter was 26 and the mother is 44. They had filed for their marriage in Comanche County in March of 2016. What I don't understand is they applied for it and they got the marriage certificate. I don't see how it was approved if it's illegal.
I think maybe because everyone's so woke. We're trying to be so liberal.
We
We
don't want to get anybody in trouble.
They just saw the two female names and they were like, "Hey, good for you." They didn't know and looked into it. That's what I would think. Yeah, it's crazy. And so I have so many random points here on my list. I'm gonna try to stop saying fuck so much on the podcast, well, and in general, because I just listened to the podcast last, or 2 weeks ago when I was mixing it down, and I was like, yeah, I guess I say it a lot for a podcast. I mean, to me, it doesn't bother me, but it could bother others, right? So I was like, maybe I should tone it down a little bit if I can. And then when I bring it up to Koopy, she was like, yeah, you say it all the time. You say it way too often. So I've been trying. I've been trying to tone that one down. I don't know about the other words, but I'm going to work on that one. We'll see what happens.
Oh, so I was actually just finished reading this article, and it's on the Tulsa World. This isn't the first time this mother has married her family. Prior to marrying her daughter, she married her son. Which again, I don't understand.
Maybe this genetic attraction's for real.
I mean, she married her son in 2008, and then it was annulled in 2010 after the son described it as incestuous. I don't see how prior to that marriage that you didn't think that was the case.
Maybe they didn't have sex before that.
Maybe not.
But yeah, that's super weird. Well, weird. And the thing with that guy and his daughter that is a little different is, like, from what I understand, when a father and daughter are living in the same house or whatever, and the girl turns like 12, 13, she releases a pheromone, and then the pheromone of her father, like, scientifically, it makes them hate each other. Like, that's why teenage girls and fathers don't get along. It's like there are pheromones that are released, and it's supposed to happen so you don't have sex. Okay. It's like nature's way of preventing that shit. Because, like, we're pretty civilized now, but like 400 or 500 years ago, honestly, probably even more recently, if you watch like True Detective season 1 and stuff like that, where fathers would totally bed their daughters, right?
Yeah. Now, and this lady did not have custody of her children.
Right. So, and that's how this other one was. So it's like maybe just because they didn't go through that.
And that very well could be it. She thought it was okay because she didn't have custody and she was no longer on their birth certificate. She thought it was okay.
That's not why it's wrong. It's not because of a piece of paper.
That was her reasoning.
See, I said it again. How am I supposed to not cuss when we talk about this stuff?
All right. So another thing that I thought was a little crazy. I don't watch The Bachelor. I haven't in a long time. I used to, I think maybe in the first season, just because it was a new show.
I mean, I gave it a shot, but honestly, I find it real cheesy. Like, I way respect the VH1's versions way more. Like Flavor of Love, Real Chance of Love, I Love New York, Brett Michaels, Rock of Love. I almost called it Bud Michaels. Because all of those, at least it was like, they're like, yeah, I'm about to take these people up and have sex. Like, they were real about it, right?
Yeah.
And then The Bachelor's like,
prude.
We're going to the fantasy suite. And then it's like, what else happened?
Exactly, in this fantasy suite.
Yeah. And they're all in there just to be famous.
Yes. So, anyways, that's actually a great point. So, you're on The Bachelor, you're going to be famous, you're going to be, well known, obviously.
Right.
Well, there is one woman on there named Becca. Apparently, if you watch The Bachelor, you would know who she is. Apparently, she has an attitude.
Becca. I read The Ringer, and so, like, there's a few things The Ringer obsessed with. Basketball, sports in general, Game of Thrones, The Bachelor's one. They have their own podcast, but I don't listen to that one.
Yeah.
But I have seen articles, and they have mentioned Becca. So she is, I guess, infamous.
Yes. Well, apparently, she was reported missing in November. She is still currently reported missing, according to the California Attorney General website. And there was actually a viewer that noticed this and goes, "Hey, this person reported missing, yet she's on The Bachelor. What's going on?"
Did they get a reward?
No.
Oh.
No. However, it seems to be more of just a giant miscommunication. So the daughter was working on a marijuana farm. It wouldn't see her for 7 to 8 days as she worked on this farm. She tried to contact her daughter. However, Becca calls her mother on December the 12th and says, "Hey, I'm on my way home. Everything's good." And then talks to her after this report is filed and said, "I'm good. Everything's okay." Yet the report is still being filed. I mean, to me, it seems like just a giant mess of things that's really not the case. But I did find it nuts that you're going to be considered missing yet on a nationally televised.
Yeah, looks down to me.
Exactly.
So NBA trade deadline happened since we've last done this. And been a lot
did
of trades.
It happen or what?
Right, and so I'm disappointed the Thunder didn't make any moves. Because there was a report that they were going to get Avery Bradley for Abrinas and Ferguson. And I like both Abrinas and Ferguson on the Thunder. But if we're going for this year, I would have liked that move.
Yeah.
The Blake Griffin trade was cool. I mean, I know the Pistons are like your second team because you like Detroit. I liked Blake on the Pistons. I did when it happened just because I was like, well, at least he gets a new scene. I know it's like sucks for his comedy career and all that, but he'll get back, I'm sure.
He's going to bring the D back.
Right. And then the Cavaliers basically did what I would do on NBA 2K. They were like, I don't like all these old people. I'm trading to get younger. And so,
and then for IT, my thing with him, a couple of days prior, it shows an interview.
Well, 1 day prior, he said he wanted to be there. Yeah,
maybe it was 1 day.
It was right after they beat the Timberwolves.
Yeah, and and this may be a different one. He was talking. He goes, "When adversity hits his team, we all go our separate directions."
Yeah, that was
we're not uniform. Like, man, that's a bad thing to say.
Well, yeah, he talked his way out of town the whole time. He always talked shit, and he'd be like, well, back when the other teams I played for, it's like you had one good season, like with Boston. And I mean, he was really good, and he played good in his first game with the Lakers, and I don't think that style of that team worked for him. But talking shit like that, unless your goal was to be traded, probably wasn't a good thing. But it might work out for everybody.
I mean, they sent all kinds of people. He even sent his buddy D. Wade. Went back to Miami.
For almost nothing, but they knew that this
2023 second round pick
guy needed playing time, so they had to get rid of Wade.
For sure.
I think on a lot of those individual trades they did, it's pretty fascinating if you really are into basketball. A lot of them look like Cleveland got the worst of the deal, but then whenever you like look at all the trades they made, you're like, no, they done good. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Because you can look at certain ones and be like, I actually like the Knicks, Mavericks, Jazz trade, little three-way trade to get Emmanuel Mudiay in the Knicks because I always liked Emmanuel Mudiay. Pick him up on NBA 2K.
Especially since Porzingis is now out the rest of the year.
Right, which, I mean, they need to try to tank, but there's a lot of bad teams, but there's a lot of good people in the draft this year. So, and that also kind of reminds me on NBA 2K, in the last couple weeks, I have found an exploit in the game, which is awesome. So I know Travis, who listens, plays the game, so maybe someone else does. You can start a My League. So I started a My League and made me and you on the Thunder as young, shitty people that we're going to work our ways up.
Yeah.
And you can do a simulate the game with Simulcast Live. And then if you play 12-minute quarters, so which is like, the longest you can play them, speed it up as much as you can on the simulate screen. And then at the end, you can just jump in with like a few seconds left, and you'll get the coins for all of the stats posted in that game. And then if you're not around your PlayStation, like I'm not during most of the week, if I'm at work, before I go to work, I can start that. And when I come to lunch, restart another one. And for every game it just completes on its own, you get 400 coins. So through this, I've probably gotten about 30,000 coins in the last week and a half.
Just balling on those.
Which is probably like, I don't remember the exact rate. It's probably like $15 worth of coins or something, right? But yeah, so that's been pretty fun. I've been making lots of coins there and then using those coins on my power forward dude, and then I went online with that dude last night and did pretty well dunking on people. So
for sure,
that's my video game life anyway.
Yeah. So something else I had seen was there was another Glee co-star, former co-star that unfortunately is now gone, or some people unfortunately.
Yeah, I know that's the thing is.
And And that's Mark Salling, I think. Say
Now,
Puck.
I don't remember the details of his child pornography case.
He had possession of child pornography that involved a
Like, I know that's horrible, but I guess if you're gonna rank them, you could still kind of feel bad for that, because if it was just like psychologically something's wrong with him and he's attracted to that, I can't sympathize or anything like that. But you know what I mean? Like, that's different than you made it.
Or you did it.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that any of that is okay, or I mean, I guess on the levels of
just
terribleness.
I find it quite ironic and fucked up. I'm about to say this. For a show named Glee,
I thought you were going to go there.
It seems like no one was happy when they left that show.
No, apparently not.
Jane Lynch is the only one.
Yep. So this was something that I had seen was regarding the MLB. They're looking at adding extra base runners in the 11th inning of All-Star games, because we've had quite a few extra innings in All-Star games.
Don't they need pitchers for that? Isn't that what they always run out of?
They usually do, but it's because for whatever reason they can't score runs or something. So what they're going to do is put a runner on second base.
Just to do it?
Every time starting the 11th inning on, you start with a runner on second base.
That's kind of cool, though.
And then these are games. Other games they're going to be doing is preseason games that don't matter. They're also going to, after starting with the 10th inning, they will put a runner on second base to shorten the games that aren't needed.
Are any of these in regular season yet?
No, none of them were in regular season.
I mean, for real though, those 16-inning games are stupid.
Agreed. And
it's kind of a cool thing.
Agreed. So I mean, I think it's great, because I've always wanted to see baseball pick up its pace a little bit.
I hope they add one extra bench spot for each team, so they're allowed to just get a sprinter that they just keep for that one moment. Right? He doesn't do anything else.
Yep, that'd be good.
So I got a new bed.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. It's a big king size bed, so there's plenty of room and all that. The other day I fell out of it, and it was like one of the most confusing moments for me, because you know me, I'm a hard sleeper.
Yes, you are.
I don't wake up for much. And so we got these huge ass king size pillows. Like, they're stupid. They just are.
Yeah,
they're like the dumbest thing that they're that big.
You don't use them.
Well, we do. See, here's the thing, though.
Wait, so you use these?
We bought, because we went on a crazy spree when we got the new mattress rack, bought all this bedding stuff, and we got 6 total king-size pillows.
That's too damn many.
And 2 would be like for when you're sleeping there, and then one's like the pretty one that covers the other ones, right? And so we do use them, but I was like, well, if I'm getting these, I'm getting the best ones they have. Turns out those things are thick as fuck.
Yes, they are.
Sorry. See, it's possible not to do it. So, like, Koopy has crazy Kingston eggs. She's just getting to old pillows. She's like, I can't do it. But I'm powering through. But I used to use, like, 5 pillows of normal pillows, because I'm weird like that. And now I can use just 1 pillow. So it's honestly worked out kind of well for me. But the other night, woke up about 4 in the morning, had a piss or something like that, right? And I don't know exactly what happened. I just know when I came to, I was sitting on the ground knowing I just fell. So it was like, so I have these giant king pillows. I think what happened in my mind, from what I kind of remember, is the pillow fell on the ground, and when I got up, I slipped on it like a banana peel. And just landed straight on my ass.
That's
and
good.
Then Koopy woke up and she was like, what happened? I go, I fell. And she was like, you okay? And I was like, yeah.
She went right back to sleep.
She went to sleep, yeah, and I went and took a piss, came back to sleep. So it's been a little dangerous. And there's like on the footboard a little corner piece kind of sticks out. And I've dead-legged my leg probably 5 times in the last 3 weeks.
God.
To where, because it hitches perfect on my thigh muscle, and it like goes and if it's in the middle of the night when that happens, you're like, are you serious? This is
it's the worst thing ever. Oh man, that's nuts.
But besides those issues, it's been great.
That's good. So I actually seen this article on CNN that there was a mass grave. It was actually initially found in the 80s. They thought that it could be associated with the Vikings, but after carbon dating, they go, nope.
Yeah, I saw this article too.
However, that the reason they didn't is because they do radiocarbon
on those stomach contents or something.
Yes.
Right.
Well, there was fish consumed by the Vikings. I don't know why they didn't think of this prior, that they consumed fish.
Right.
But eating fish and other marine life actually makes the older carbon throw off that carbon dating.
See, and I'm not trying to be those weird, because I'm not like super conspiracy. I do not believe carbon dating super accurate. I think we have some ideas, and the reasoning is because in my elementary school, they used to do this test where it was like the 6th grade, because my elementary school, kindergarten through 6th grade, they would bury a chicken, and then like 10 years later, the next
They
class
do
would
it, yeah.
undig it and do a carbon dating thing. And it always came back inaccurate.
Yeah, and I mean, I know because I know when they give dating, it's like this to 2,000 years later.
Bro, I think there's a
between
lot
there.
of evidence you can use, and I would love to get my friend Jared if he was ever in A to come by because he's like an archaeologist
Yeah.
and stuff. I would love to know more about it because I don't know enough.
Agreed.
But I think there's a lot of evidence you can use to say like this came from this time period. But a lot of the carbon dating, it's just not as accurate, I think, as it's pitched.
No,
sometimes.
I don't think it is. But it works with this because on this one, the original site that they found, it was a mass grave. It has a double grave containing 2 men, a grave that had 4 adolescents between 8 and 18, and then there was a vault with nearly 300 people in it. And they believe this was the great army of the Viking army. That
Don't sound
made
too
it
great to me.
I know, right? It seems like they
Got buried in
obviously
a vault.
lost it at some point. But they find it at St. Weiston's Church in Derbyshire. I have no idea where that's at. Somewhere over in London.
I mean, the place isn't that big. I'm sure it'd be easy.
It's somewhere to find. But they believe that it happened, and this is where I don't understand how you can get so accurate. They said that we know, obviously, with regards to written history, that they have that the great Viking army made it there in 873. So at least we have a time frame we can kind of go off of and see how old this stuff is.
Right.
But then they drove out the Anglo-Saxon king at that time. But then it doesn't give really much information about how they all just died there.
Right.
They took over a place that had lots of food.
They ate themselves to death. And all.
They don't know. I mean,
died in a
for
vault.
this great army, they just seem to die out. And it may just not have enough in this article for me to
Did
know about
their
it.
corpses have like armor on, or was it like?
It doesn't say that. Whenever it shows this, that just has got all these bones laid out. So I don't know if it had it in there.
And I would assume not then, because I think you would show that off, right?
Agreed. But I did find that a little crazy.
So Black Panther's about to come out, right? And I really want the soundtrack because Kendrick Lamar apparently watched the movie and goes, "I want to do everything," and then he done the whole soundtrack.
Yeah.
So like, love Kendrick Lamar, but I'm getting real tired of everyone acting like this is the first black superhero movie. When there are at least 2 in my mind I can think of.
I know one that
Right, one for sure we're gonna think of, which is Blade.
exactly.
Now I understand Blades have vampire blah, but that is a Marvel comic book, and he has crossover comics where he fights with
I'm sorry.
superheroes.
That Wesley Snipes was badass Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah, and I mean I know a lot of people give the second and third one shit, but for the age me and you were at, it was cool.
I loved him. I loved all
love
three.
the third one. Trinity was probably my favorite one.
Ralph
with Ryan
Reynolds
Reynolds. Yeah.
cracked me up in it.
And Blade was a big deal back in the day. So
Yes.
people were just acting like that didn't
Even
happen.
Triple H was in the third one.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying Black Panther's not good. That has nothing to do with this point.
No.
I just think people need to remember Blade was a thing.
Exactly.
And then Steel,
Oh yeah, that's another one.
which was Shaq's worst movie. It's probably worse than Kazam, honestly.
It is.
But it came out the same year as Batman and Robin, which was like the worst Batman movie ever with the nipples on the suit. So no one really thinks about Steel.
I forgot. Yeah.
But Steel was really bad. I don't know. Shaq just he was just getting paid though. He
Yeah.
didn't really care. Something else randomly that happened was I watched this video the other day of an autistic girl making a basket in a basketball game.
Uh-huh.
And I knew from my first thoughts that like I'm kind of an asshole because I was like, and then like the big point though was like it was the first shot of the game. It wasn't like one of these fucking into the fourth.
Yeah.
You take it. They from the jump ball pass to this girl, but no one's guarding her.
Mm-hmm.
She travels twice, and I would have swatted the shit out of that girl if it was being for real. So
Oh my god.
I'm not saying we don't cheer. Well, I get it, right? I get why we do it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, let's quit acting like they done something crazy. They weren't even guarded.
Yep.
And then when I thought that, I was like, oh, well, I'm a big asshole, so I should probably just quit
Just quit.
thinking about it.
That's funny. I don't remember if I brought this up last podcast. If I did, and sorry, y'all can hear it again. Did you see the article about the Nazca lines in Peru?
No, nothing recently.
Okay. So, unfortunately, there was a truck driver that thought it would be funny to drive across the Nazca lines and destroy parts of them. Again, this is a cultural heritage. They do not allow people on it. You can't. But this truck driver said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to drive on it, and I don't care. These are 2,000-year-old lines. And he made a couple of 100 feet worth of issues of his.
Right, and if you're unfamiliar with the Nazca lines, it's like these crazy lines in shapes of animals, if I remember correctly. And like you can only see the full thing from an airplane, so the fact they're made 2,000 years ago, when people wouldn't even have the viewpoint to see them, are crazy. And then people walk these lines, and then like as atonement or to meditate and part of their religion there. And the thing is, when you tell that story, I imagine like a white American
just going
being like, "Fuck you, Nazca lines," but honestly, but it was probably South American, obviously. I mean, they lived there.
It was. No, that's right there is the illegal American that goes over there and screws up their shit.
These illegals are ruining our country.
But yeah, I thought that was nuts. Also, the Eagles obviously won the Super Bowl.
They did.
And so they have a long snapper named John Dorenbos. And before, he was with them in 2016. However, he was going to get traded. Well, when he was getting traded, they had looked at done his physical, and he had these brain tumors and cancer and all this terrible shit.
Right.
So he wasn't allowed to play. Now he's never allowed to play football again. So he had to go through all this terrible stuff. However, the owner asked him to be there on Super Bowl Sunday and said, "We're going to get you this ring. We're going to get a ring." They win, and they are going to give him a ring. Not being on the team, but they're still giving him a ring like he was on the team.
I don't know how I would take that.
Agreed. And that's my question to you is, if you were this long snapper, now he personally is excited. I mean, I think after you go through cancer, anything happy you're going to go be happy about. But what would you almost take that as a pity that they're giving it to you?
Yeah, I mean,
because I don't think anybody else that was cut in 2016 that didn't have cancer, that was traded away to another team, would get that ring.
Right, agreed. And I mean, I just think, I don't know. I think everyone's different, of course. I just think I would be the type of person of, well, I didn't earn that necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, and I always feel like in basketball, for instance, and I can't think of a great example off the top of my head, but like, let's say Kobe Bryant didn't play much in that first ring, right, that Shaq and him won. If he was like coming off the bench 3 minutes a game and had like very little swim, but he would get a ring, right? Like Adam Morrison got on the later Kobe teams. I don't think he would claim it if he became great. You know what I'm saying? So like, I always think of that. Whereas in like, if you're an old dude, never got a ring and you're on a bench, yes, you take it. And so maybe this guy is closer to that scenario of, well, I'll never get one any other way. But what is a ring going to really do for him?
Yeah, I mean,
like, I don't know. I guess it's a good gesture.
And I think that's all it was.
But I can see some people taking it the way of like insulting you in some way.
So the one of the last things I have here is regarding this mind-controlling wasp venom, which I'm interested because I've been stung by a shitload of wasps and I don't want to be mind-controlled by a wasp.
Right.
But apparently there is this wasp. I'm not even going to try to say the scientific name because it'll be terrible. But it's an emerald cockroach wasp. What it does,
I think I saw it the other day,
is it stings the cockroach somewhere in the midsection, paralyzes the animal's front legs for about 5 minutes. Then the wasps walk over and stings it in the head. And then for 30 minutes, it goes into this intense, vigorous grooming is what they're calling it. Now, the wasp cannot move.
Right.
Okay, during this time frame. However, it is not paralyzed. If the wasp was to lead it, that cockroach would follow it. Mm-hmm. Wherever it goes.
Yeah, when I worked on the grounds crew one summer, we had some, even here in Oklahoma, some crazy wasp things that my boss was telling me are the ones that make things zombies.
Yeah.
They can control like they put something in them and then they're like putting babies in them.
Yeah, this one, it actually lays eggs inside of it. And then
somehow that's zombie controlling them until they're born.
So what we are trying to do as humans, we are trying to
use that on our enemy.
For Parkinson's.
Okay.
Don't allow the wasp to lay any eggs. But what it would do is it would give you the ability to trigger that person's brain and train it to what you're wanting it to do.
That seems
a little nuts.
Seems a little close to you taking over human brains.
Yeah, for sure. But it says that it could help with research in the future.
My grandma has Parkinson's, and all of her like early signs I pretty much have. So I would love a cure to Parkinson's.
Yeah,
because I'm almost like 90% sure I'm gonna get Parkinson's someday. but I don't know if I want people training my mind to do shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, if it doesn't lay the eggs, then in a few days you go back to normal. So
I mean, it's cool we figured it out. We'll look into. I'm sure people will research it for forever, right? And figure out what we can do with it. A couple random things that I saw. I thought this was interesting that a biotech startup company managed to 3D print a fake rhino horn, and it carries the same genetic fingerprint as an actual rhino horn.
Really?
So the company plans to flood the Chinese rhino horn market of 1/8 the price of the original, undercutting the price of the poacher, so it won't be worth it for them to kill them.
And I had seen there's something else.
And it's like, is that not the best way to do it?
That actually, now that you say that, I remember seeing something, and then they're also doing where they are painting elephant tusks and rhino horns pink.
Yeah, they do the same with tortoises.
So that way people don't try. And I'm like, that's a great idea. I mean, again, I think it's absolutely crazy. Like the owner of Jimmy John's, everyone hates him for his going and killing giraffes and elephants and whatever other
sandwiches are good, bro.
But the sandwiches are dope for sure. But I think it's awesome as long as we can try to conserve these, because it is crazy the amount of species that are going extinct during our lifetime, when we should be able to control that from happening. But the last thing that I have, I brought up to you earlier, Mo, was actually regarding a research paper that I had done back at our Upward Bound days.
Right. So, story on that. Basically, in the spring and summer, something like that, we could do a research paper, and we get paid like $200 if we done a research paper. More or less. It was awesome.
So it was regarding the Earth's magnetic poles flipping, north going south, south going to north.
Right.
Based on our previous history, it happens between 200 and 300,000 years. It'll flip. However, it has not happened in 780,000 years. They do believe within the next 100 years it could happen. We have no idea what will happen. This could be Y2K, where nothing happens at all.
Right.
And we're freaking out for nothing. Now, there are a few things during the time while it's flipping that'll cause problems, which is solar radiation will be let in because the pole's being flipped. There will be holes where it'll be able to flood us.
Okay.
So we won't go outside for those days. At least I'm assuming that's going to be.
Do we know when? Do we think we would know beforehand? Like, we got 3 days, it's going to happen, guys.
I mean, they have satellites that are tracking this.
Okay.
So I would assume we would know. But hey, maybe someone goes,
it's going to make me want to get a bunker. I've never wanted one because I don't believe in a zombie apocalypse. But
exactly.
This is like a real thing.
And they say that it will happen. Now, there was, and I don't know how this happens, but the Earth tried doing it 40,000 years ago, but it didn't do it. It started, but it didn't go through. I don't know if it goes, you know what? Sorry, we had to push the restart button. Didn't have enough time.
Didn't have the
today.
updates
You know
yet.
what I mean? I don't know what the reasoning for that was. But I do want to know what's going to happen with like our GPS systems, if it's just going to be pushed out a giant update to make north go to south, south go to north.
Right.
And then you'll be teaching your kids the never eat soggy waffles will never be the correct thing anymore.
See, we always said never eat sour weenies.
Oh, okay.
It's funnier.
Yeah, that works.
But I've also been something that I always know how to read a map. And I work with this dude, and he'll be like, "Where's that at?" I'm like, "East side of the building." Which street's that? And I'm like, "The east." How do you not know what the east side of a building is? So I had a few things. Let me see. I'll try to make them quick because they're just random interesting things to me.
Yeah.
There is a Bible verse. I grew up all about the Bible.
I think we all did.
And it's Exodus 12:12, and it says, "I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord."
Hold up. So all the gods of Egypt, like Ra, Apophis.
Well, my whole thing was like, he just acknowledged other gods.
There's other
exist.
gods here? Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
It's weird.
Stargate straight up right there with Egypt.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
There we go.
Eventually, we're going to do a Stargate show once we get better equipment. Also, something I thought was interesting, a 15-year-old named On Makasinski, maybe, made a flashlight that runs on body heat from the user's hand, and it was her project for the Google Science Fair, and she won a $25,000 scholarship. Two things: one, that's dope. Second, $25,000. I think she should have got a little more.
I think she should have got some more for that, because that's going to be a multi-million-dollar item.
So good.
She's probably had to give 75% of that to Google,
right?
And she gets some little chunk. Anyways.
Now, I have heard that some people like our political views, or not our views necessarily.
I don't think
a lot of people disagree with our views.
Yeah,
but they like the way we talk about it.
For sure.
I know I've gotten a few props of like, at least I kind of play both sides because I really don't feel like I'm a Republican or a Democrat. But this week we just happen to not have much. But this one thing I did. So Nancy Pelosi, right this last week, done like an 8-hour speech, right, or whatever on the floor for the Dreamers Act, right, to give people citizenship.
Yep.
And the TV or the right was all like, just as ridiculous, this woman standing talking for that long, how dare she, or whatever. And it was like, in 2013, fucking Ted Cruz read Green Eggs and Ham just to deny people health care. Like, you don't remember all that shit where they were like doing the stupidest shit to do it?
Yes.
And it's just how quick people's memories forget. And I get in these arguments all the time.
Because it's not for them, so they forget if it's against them.
And this is going to go into something else I have to bring up. Have you watched Celebrity Big Brother yet?
So, no, we started it, and then when we realized we are 22 minutes into the first episode before it recorded anything, and I have not had time to get on CBS All Access, but we are going to start watching
Okay, so it's been pretty good. I'll just say I'll wait a week till we really talk about it.
Because I want to talk about this blow-up.
The Celebrity Big Brother thing, I think, is better than I thought it would be.
First off, there's actually celebrities that I didn't realize were going to, like, to me, Chuck Liddell, Meta World Peace.
Shannon Elizabeth,
and then Mark McGrath.
Right. There's some pretty good ones. I mean, Omarosa's a big deal.
Omarosa for sure.
But anyway, I think they're better strategically. Some of them, at least. Some people have no idea what's going on than I thought they would be. And I think probably in the future they do it again, it'll be even better.
Yeah.
But it has been pretty good. But Omarosa's on there, and she's breaking down about how she's against Trump. Now, I have a few thoughts, but someone I work with who definitely leans more right, they were upset. How dare this woman say something about the president when he's not there to defend himself? And with that being their reasoning,
then
it was so hard for me not to be like, what the fuck does Twitter? Yeah, was Twitter with Trump? Like, that's all he does is call people out when they can't defend themselves. Like, I don't know. So I was just like, well, we have freedom of speech, and but then I think you can also take the thought of, like, if I'm not trying to be on her side of, yeah, she was fired. Of course, she has negative thoughts about the guy who fired her. And the woman who played like the little girl in the Cosby Show. This kind of gives away not a whole lot of what's gonna happen, but they had this really good conversation that I actually thought hit home really well. Where like everyone hated Omarosa at first, right? Because they're like, how could you like Donald Trump when you're a black woman? That's basically what they're mad about. And she just straight up looks at the Rudy Huxtable girl and is like, it's the same thing with you and Mr. Cosby. And she was like, I don't think. It goes, and then as soon as she said it, it all clicked in my head. I go, this is exactly the same. Yeah. And it's like, you came out and even after allegations and stood by him, and I stood by Donald Trump because that's how I got in. You know, I like Omarosa came in the industry that way. This woman came in the industry. You protect your day one. Right. And so I was like, fuck. And so I just thought that was a really cool moment. Now, I'm not saying I like Omarosa. I'm not saying any of that. I just was like, it was cool to see people with opposite views and then like have a like one comment made and was like, all right, I got you.
That's a mic drop moment to me.
Right. And so I thought it was a good moment. Now, I don't know if Omarosa is being honest or truthful. I think she's just like Trump. I think she's trying to get headlines just like him because it's their protege or whatever, right? She
learned from the best.
Right. It's like a Sith scenario. And we'll see what happens. Like, I really haven't paid much attention to Trump. I know that something really funny that happened is Mike Pence did not stand for North and South Korea's unification thing. And I saw this meme that's like, so apparently Mike Pence thinks it's okay to sit during an anthem to protest something. And I'm like, it's so good. You can't write that shit.
Yeah. First off, just real quick about the Olympics. I seen where there was big headlines where the president of South Korea and Kim Jong-un's sister shook hands. Not Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un's sister is the first Korean to be in North Korean to be in South Korea since the war.
Yes. So, and it's great. I do think it's great that there are some.
Did you see their cheerleaders at the women's game?
The hundreds and hundreds of cheerleaders.
They're called the Army of Beauties, and there's 200 women that have been sent there, right? And in 2006, when South Korea hosted an Olympics, and it was like 50 women in the Army of Beauties. Almost all of those women have been in prison for talking about what they saw in South Korea. So now after I read that, I just see their Army of Beauties that they have cheering, and you're like, most of y'all are going to be in jail because y'all aren't going to be able to shut your mouth.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. But one of those women's from 2006 is Kim Jong-un's wife. Really? So at least one of them, something good happened to.
Yeah. One of every 200, you got a decent shot.
All right, I think the last, well, not the exact last thing, but the last random thing, I guess, here is since 1922, over 30 cash rewards of up to $1 million have been offered to anyone who can prove they have paranormal abilities, and no one has ever claimed a prize. And that is why I don't believe in superpowers and supernatural shit. So when anyone's ever like, what do you mean you don't believe in this and this and this? It's because of things like that. It's like, because if I could do that shit and someone's offering me $1 million, it's done.
But Mo, if you have that superpower, then you can't get money out of it. You have to.
Nah, that's why I'd be a super villain, sir. And if they're superheroes, they're super villains, and they haven't taken the money either.
I feel you, man. One thing I do want to mention is today or yesterday, I go to the mailbox, get my mail out, and I was super stoked when I felt myself a little card inside of one from the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation. It says, "Hey, here's your concealed carry." So I was pretty stoked about that. Now I'm going to be packing anywhere I go except for Apple Market or the banks, obviously.
You should probably start wearing like some base makeup to make your skin a little lighter, and maybe cut your hair.
Nope.
Because I'm let you know, those licenses don't work the same for minorities. So.
Nope, not doing it. But again, we talked about it slightly earlier. I do find it slightly nuts about the whole how I got my license. It only took about 2.5, 3 hours to do the whole thing, and it is a little crazy.
Right. All right. So I have some more random stuff, and our first half is running long, but it's who cares. So as a husband, right, and you are too.
Yep.
It's something I was saying about the other day. Like, you can use your wife as an excuse quite a few times, right?
Yeah.
And you can with kids as well. But my point is, like, so if, say me and you were out somewhere eating, and then we ran into a friend, they were like, come do this, and we'd be like, oh no, the wife said
Yep.
wife says I have to be home by 8:30,
Yeah.
so I'm getting out of here. And then the other person's thoughts will be like, well, what a cunt, right? No, that's kind of harsh. Maybe they're like, she's so naggy, you won't let him hang out.
Yep.
But nothing too bad. Whereas in like the scenario's like our wives were out eating somewhere and they were in, and one was like, hey, let's go out, and they're like, my husband doesn't want me to. It's like you're abusive.
Yeah.
Like
Straight up.
And I just think that's strange, the way that whole dynamic works differently. Like,
Agreed.
It's a lot easier for men to use women, I think,
Yeah.
than it would be for a woman to say the husband wouldn't. And I think non-abusive husbands generally are like, no, you could go do that. I don't
just
care.
go. I mean,
So maybe that's why it's different.
It's funny you bring that up because Jill had surgery. She had four teeth extraction.
Right.
So she was out for that's the reason we missed. But when we went out to eat after I got back from this business trip, I felt people looking at me because she had bruise on the side of her face where her teeth were. And I felt people looking at me.
Discipline and
I
respect.
did not beat my wife to give her this bruise on her cheek, but she's got these massive cheeks because she's
Right.
it's all swelled up from the surgery. And I'm like, people looking at me like I beat this woman. And I'm like, that's not the case at all. So I got that weird, because we went to Prairie Kitchen with all these old people, and they're like,
Right. Like, you don't beat your wife, sir.
Exactly.
Judging ass.
It was just a little crazy.
All right, so my TV update for the week, I told you part of the other day, and I know our biggest fan is rather Marissa or Rusty, because I think they listen to all the episodes, but Marissa wanted Amazon Prime suggestions, so there's a show I told you about the other day. I think you would really like it. It's called Britannia on Amazon Prime. It's like Amazon Prime's Game of Thrones, right, is the way it's kind of pitched. But it is so close to Vikings. I mean, it's better. I think it's a little better quality than Vikings, because Vikings had those kind of cheesy moments or whatever. But it's almost the same. It's like set in Britain back when they were all a bunch of tribes and the Romans are coming to invade. And they're just basically causing chaos everywhere. And they have their like Loki character who's going to the underworld, seeing visions, says he's a demon and all this stuff. But then there's also an episode in there where like these two normal guys find this witch doctor's hut and they just start taking all these drugs, right? And they trip out, and they're seeing the same things as like the magic users. So then I'm like, I don't think there's actually any fantasy. I think people are all tripping on drugs because they're the druids, and that's what they did. And if that, and I don't know, I've watched all the episodes, but they don't give that away yet. If that's the twist somewhere, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's pretty entertaining. It's got the governor from Walking Dead, and got some other people you'll recognize, but it's a good show. Koopy really liked it. So if you want a fantasy show to watch, and Game of Thrones is not going to be on for a while, and Britannia's new. I know people that haven't started Game of Thrones. It's quite a daunting task to watch all that. This has 8-10 episodes, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think personally you would really like it because you love Vikings, and they just reminded me a lot of that show.
For sure.
And then a Netflix show that's new is called Altered Carbon, which is this weird sci-fi. I mean, it's sci-fi for sure. It's more like Blade Runner than like Stargate. So it's like we're in a far future. We're landed on other planets, and every human has like this metal disc in their neck that like basically stores it's like their hard drive. And then like if you die, and as long as your little chip doesn't get destroyed, they could put that in another sleeve, which is a body. And then you would be that body, right? So like starts off and it's like this Asian guy who looks really familiar. I can't quite remember what he's from.
Yeah. He's
beating the shit out of people, but then it later shows like a white guy. And it's like he's the same guy. And then he was like part of this rebellion that was fighting against the use of sleeves. And then in this future, the Catholics won't allow their disc to be put into a new body. So like when people are murdered, they could easily just take it and put it in a new body and be like, who murdered you?
But they're like, no, we're not doing that.
Right. So it's got all this cool, like weird, future stuff, and it's like super colorful, and it's really more of a detective show. So like the main guy is this thing called, I can't remember what they're called, like a vandal or something special name, and they're like the Jason Bournes of the world, right? Like they're real super good fighters. They're like super high intuition. They just kind of know what's going on. So this guy's supposed to be forever on ice, which is like when their disc is just put to the side, can't ever come back because he was such a terrorist. And the super rich guy now, in the 300 years after this guy lived, has paid to bring him back for him to figure out who killed the guy. And even you're like, but how'd he bring him back if the guy's dead? Well, he's so rich, he has a satellite that goes around the earth, and every 48 hours it beams his consciousness and stores it in a satellite. So if he dies, it can be, he's like the richest owner. And you're like, man, this shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? The story's kind of convoluted. It's really hard to follow, but it's so like futuristic and cool that like I want to finish it and then I want to watch it again
to catch back up on
to figure out what I missed, right? Because it isn't easy to follow, but it's fun. Koopy, not a fan for whatever reason.
Okay.
She doesn't like that as much as Britannia, but those are my two shows besides Celebrity Big Brother that's really got my attention,
Yeah, for sure.
since the last time we done this. And my last sad story before our break is that my PlayStation's about to die.
Yeah.
And the other night, me and Koopy are laying, and we're asleep. It's fucking 4 a.m. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my PlayStation was in a spin mode where it has like the yellow bar and it's just kind of hibernating or whatever. And out of nowhere, it just sounds like a jet engine turns on in the middle of the room. It's like, "Jrrr," and I was like, what? And Koopy's like, turn it off. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, so I should unplug it from the wall, which I know is like really bad.
Yeah.
And then since then, I took it all apart as much as I could with that little special screwdriver and vacuumed it out and dusted it out as much as I can. And it sounded better for like 6 hours. And then it'll just go all crazy again. And so we done taxes last weekend. And I told Koopy like, hey, I think my PlayStation's about to die. This is so sad. And she was like, well, she used tax money that we're getting to get you a new one. They're like $800, right? And as you point out, I should have just said yes.
You should have ran with it, man.
But I was like, no, they're not $800. What are you thinking? So I might have to get a new one. But I could also see just waiting till it actually dies. Because if I have 2 PlayStations, that's going to be a whole other juggling act of like, which save is where and which thing. So, anyway, I also kind of want to switch. Rusty got a Switch, loves it. I love trophies so much that I can't imagine playing a game for nothing more than enjoyment.
Exactly.
It's so weird.
For sure.
All right, so we're going to keep story time going, but we're going to take the break first. Come back. We got an email from a listener.
Yeah.
We got story time. And then we got our top 5 favorite bands.
Bands. Exactly. The ones that actually play and sing. Or play and or sing.
There has to be instruments is the rule. All right. So we'll be back.
All right.
All right, and we're back. So we do have an email from a listener. Where can people send emails to, Powwow?
They can email us at thepowwowwithmo@gmail.com. That is THEPOWWWITHMO@gmail.com.
All right. And so this week, Rusty wrote in, which he has before. And basically what he said, he said, dang, a Mormon almost made the top 5 on our top 5 favorite football players, but lost out off charisma like Romney did to Obama. I agree. And I think in hindsight, Romney looks so good in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the current news the past few weeks, he couldn't get on board with a couple things, but it's all good. He likes hearing our opinions, and that's why he listens. Said the Aziz thing was creepier than some news people made it out to be. Now, and he read the original article, and I did too. I read the original article as like they were trying to get press.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were making it creepier. Now, I think you can read it both ways. Whether they were being accurate and everyone else covered it, or they were trying to make it worse and everyone else called them on their bullshit. Like, I don't know which way it was, but just my intuition was the latter there, And then also he said, Trump is an idiot. That said, it's too early from the base anything off the porn star scandal. And he wouldn't be surprised if it was one of his kids that he was paying it off for.
That's a good point.
I think that's a good excuse, even if it's not the truth.
Yeah.
That they could use. But right now, what they're using.
Like we said earlier, blame it on your kids.
Right. So, I did not know, but he said that his daughter, Ivanka, actually interned for Harvey Weinstein. Maybe the other one. One of them interned for Harvey Weinstein, which I did not know. That is kind of creepy.
Yeah, that is.
But he said, I enjoyed listening, and he's ready for episode 20. And he's going to buy Rocket League off of my recommendation.
Sweet.
Scan on the Switch. Now, he did hit me up when we didn't have an episode. He was the only person that reached out and was all like, how can you do this? You get me on a schedule of every Tuesday and then you don't put out an episode. So my bad. Other people, I just put on Facebook like we're not going to have one. I basically am only on Facebook to say we have a podcast episode. That's my only reason at the moment.
For sure.
Last time I got hit up by this girl that I went to high school with. She tried to call me through Facebook Messenger 4 times.
It's just weird when people try to call you.
I know, and I straight up said, I messaged her right away and said, I'm not answering this. She was like, just answer. And I said, no. She was like, but I have to talk to you. It's important. And I said, you can tell me on here. She was like, I don't want to top it all. And then through all this would call like after every time she wrote something. And I would just say no. And she was like, I wanted to plan a reunion for the rattlesnake hunt. And my thought was like, we had one last year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any fun. I'm not trying to be mean anymore. Like the few people I care about what they're doing, they don't come to these things.
Yeah.
And I kind of became mean. Like instantly, I started making fun of the guys I made fun of in high school. Like as soon as I was around them, I just started making fun of them. And I was like, man, I don't want to be an asshole like that.
Yeah.
But it's so hard when you're like in your hometown around the people you went to high school with to not go right back to like, God, you're a douchebag.
Yep.
So anyway, I avoided that. But so Facebook hasn't been great, but I will stay on it just to say, check out our podcast.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you want to send us an email, definitely do it. We'll read it as long as it's not too ridiculous. I mean, we've read all the other ones.
Yeah.
All right. So this week for our story time, it's not going to be as cool, I don't think, as the previous story, but it is a follow up to it. So we're not going to make them all about the fraternity, but we were in a fraternity, so some of those things will come up.
Yeah.
So last time we talked about our sneak night, where J-Mac and Jay got snuck, and then we had to go all around the state of Oklahoma.
Yep.
Got way messed up on a bunch of stuff and all that. So the reasoning for that, and I wish they still did it, but I know they don't. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I'm talking about it. The reasoning for that is the next week, they were like, we have an emergency meeting with the pledge class. And for us, we met out at this old man Vernon's house in the middle of the country.
We had to stand by the tree.
And they go, all y'all stand by the tree. Now, the members probably don't know this part of the story, but I remember Vince being a big deal in this topic as well.
He was.
And we were like,
we made a pact right there.
We made a pact on the tree because we just got this weird feeling like they're going to jump us, right?
Yep.
I don't know. We just thought that. And we had somebody like, I would take LV against almost anyone in there. I mean, there's a couple guys that were big. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, some of them would be.
LV Savage.
Like lead would just screw every one of us up.
Right. But we made this pact of like, if they try to fuck with us, we got each other's back.
Yeah.
Regardless, right? Us versus them. And we always had that attitude when we were in our pledging class. So we go in there. They tell us to face these barn walls. And again, I'm not really down with like hazing of fraternities. That was never my thing. And I will say, I do not think any of ours went too far. I really don't. And I think I would be one of the first, at least in our pledge class, to be like, no, it's not happening.
Exactly.
I really didn't think it went too far. But they told us slam against his barn walls. And they start reading a letter from the dean of the school. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's been reported to us that there was a kidnapping and people went all over this. So like, they basically recount the sneak night.
Yeah.
And they're saying that one of us ratted out the fraternity, and then it ends with, and your charter has been revoked, you no longer have a fraternity.
And that's when shit hits the fan.
Everyone goes crazy, and they're like, fuck you, and they start getting crazy, right? And now, like, to my left, Vince is standing there, and his big Raymond pushes him in the back against this thing, and as soon as that happens, I turned around, and my big at the time, who was Johnny A., he just, like, put his finger up to his mouth, like, shh, don't ruin it.
Yeah.
Because I was already turned around and I just had to sit there and watch. And then they're like, now turn around and meet your big brother. And it's like the introduction to your big little knot and all that just bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's just to get your emotions going, right? And then you get alcohol poisoning. And I know that's horrible to say, but it's
going to happen.
I'm going to be honest about it. Like, I don't know how many times I've ever been as drunk as I was Our Big Little Night. That quickly.
I mean, I know because that was when Corey was my big.
Right. And that's saying, so you have different families, and Powwow has a different big, and so did I actually, but I was white chocolate.
You stayed in white chocolate.
Which is my family. Originally, you were in La Costa Nostra, and your family drink is 1800 tequila.
And I, to this day, cannot drink.
And my drink is Jack Daniels, which is way better.
Yes.
But even now, when I smell it, it
You
takes
still
me
get
back.
that
I'm
night.
like, ugh.
I mean, because I got a big bottle of 1800, and it was a bottle of 1800 and a bottle of Keystone and a can of Keystone to chase it with, because that's what you should use to chase it with.
Of course.
And I remember it because there was that trash can. I think that was in Marshall's room.
Yeah, it was Rebecca and Marshall's house. Yeah.
Oh, and it was just I had never been that sick feeling. Because I remember the very next day was when we were at the lounge and had to watch Dirty Sanchez.
Yep.
That movie, and I was just getting sick on every small little thing that you could see.
Right.
But that Big Little Night was awesome because it is great that because at first you really feel like something's about to happen. Bottles are flying, people are getting upset, and then they say meet your big brother, and you have this big old happy.
And then you all get cars and drive back into town.
Yeah. They're like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, but it was a great night. And I mean, we had some others like later on because we were always, when we had other pledges, similar, close-ish things most times, but not always because it was sometimes hard to do.
Yep.
But that's always a fun night. I mean, Big Little Nights are always great. Definitely people drink too much because, I think I've done 9 shots of Jack in 6 minutes.
I don't feel like the first time you do it, they just go shot, and then someone else, family drink.
And then you're good, and then it hits you all at once, and you're like,
and then you're like, I'm gonna die.
Oh shit! And I mean, I love Taylor's Big Little Night at your house was fun.
I don't like
Threw
that.
up on all your couch.
He was like a sprinkler of puke.
I just remember he's not like this at all now, but I just remember when I first met him, he liked my rap music, right?
And he was trying to
and
rap.
he wanted to be a rapper too, and he would
every time he'd rap, he'd
he started trying to rap, and he just threw up everywhere. Because
he was mad because I picked him up and threw him into my bathtub and turned the shower on and got his phone ruined. He threw up all over my couch, bro.
All right, so that's our story time. We'll see what we do next week. Haven't decided yet. We'll try to keep it off of our pledging if we can. I think my 20th birthday was a great one, so eventually we have to bring that up.
We're going to have to talk about that.
All right, so we're going to get our top 5 favorite bands. Our only qualifications said they had to be a lead vocalist, and then there had to be instruments. Backstreet Boys don't count.
Yep.
The way I kind of explained it to Kubi when I was telling is Jimi Hendrix wouldn't count, but the Jimi Hendrix Experience would.
Okay.
Right? Solo artists aren't involved.
Yeah.
Unless they have a band. So, now I will say my number 5, I thought it was really hard. I've been struggling with it. It's because my number 1 and 2 are on their own tier. 3 and 4 are on another tier. And then everything below that's nah, it's all right. I just don't have a 5th that I'm
No, I'm the same way. 1 and 2 to me were easy to choose. 3 again is in a whole other class of songs, and then number 4 was just something that I remember listening to all the time for a short time frame.
Right. So my number 5 has changed multiple times today because
Really?
I was researching all of the honorable mentions I have. I was pulling up songs and being and I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have went off nostalgia, what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But listening to some of them, I'm I don't know if I. But then again, I remember loving it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway. Let's go ahead and get started. What is your number 5?
My number 5 is going to be Creed.
That is the worst pick ever.
Oh, yeah,
right.
for sure. For sure.
They were popular. I'll give you that.
So, when I was in wrestling, because it was that year of 2000 to 2004, we listened to Creed almost every day.
I just remember there being a summer where I camped a lot, and everyone was listening to Creed.
Oh, yeah.
It was with arms wide open.
Yeah, I was like, exactly.
And then I remember the whole thing of because I was real big in the church at the time. There were some people in the church that were they're fake Christians. His dad's a preacher, but he left the church and he's just doing this for money. And it's there was a whole group of people that hated him for that. And the other people hate him because they're you're a Christian rock band. Get out of here. That's not rock and roll. Because people think that,
Yep.
I will say they definitely made a mark.
Yeah, and to me, that's
I just did
why,
not expect them in your top 5.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'll be honest. I changed this last night because I had a different person or a different band as my number 5. But you know what? I listened to their songs and I still have 3 of them.
So we don't know this, but because we both had a moment like that, what would be your number 6?
So my number 6 would have been Green Day.
Okay.
Because
I like old Green Day.
And I remember the CD cover my stepdad had of the
Dookie?
the one with the bombs blowing up. That is the first time I remember listening to Green Day was with him, and then obviously going on into our teenage,
and then that whole black eyeliner, black
crazy,
thing.
weird time frame. But but when I was going back and I did this similar thing. First I did, I just looked at all my songs that I have and see what bands I had in there, and then going from that, I was like, I've got a few of these songs, and then just listening to them, I was like, I can remember certain points that I just didn't think about until right this moment when I was listening to the song and going, it had such, I don't really want to say influence because it didn't, but it just made me remember a lot of things that happened during that time frame. Right. That's why I chose Creed.
And I think that's always kind of off topic here, but I like the fact that certain songs can take you back somewhere. Like, if I hear any song off Will Smith's Big Willie style, I think that's the name of it. I just immediately go back to Rusty's room playing Twisted Metal 3. I don't know why. Like, I guess he played that on a CD while we were playing that. But like, if I hear "Welcome to Miami," instantly I'm like, oh, I was in that one car that shoots the little saw blades at people, and we were driving around this. Like, I go straight there.
No,
I always found that interesting.
Agreed. That's why I did it. But yeah, number 5 is Creed for me. So Mo, what is your number 4?
Oh,
or 5, excuse me.
Yeah. Because you gave say my 6 that I had as number 5 until earlier this week was The Offspring, and I know you weren't familiar with them until I told you their big hit was "Think I'm Pretty Fly for a White Guy."
Yep.
And that song is awesome. And I had that CD, and I remember in 6th grade listening to that on like trips to like track meets, academic meets, and I'm a big rap fan, right? So I didn't listen to much rock, but I really enjoyed that whole CD. Like, guitars were cool and stuff, and I never really got into that, but. So that was my number 5, but got marked off, so it's my 6. So my number 5 is actually Bloodhound Gang.
Okay.
Now, they are a rap group, but they transformed into a rock band. So I'm going to count them as a band because Wikipedia says they're a band.
Then they're a band.
Now, the song you will know is "You and Me, Baby, Ain't Nothing But Mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel." And that song is fun. I'll give them that. But the whole that album that's on is called "Hooray for Boobies," and Rusty had this album, and I mean he influenced a lot of my musical tastes or whatever. And I remember just listening to that CD so much, and I listened to a few this morning, and there's so many good songs like "A Lap Dance is So Much Better When the Stripper Is Crying" is the name of the song, and it's like an old Western blues song, like, and it's like not rap or rock, but that's I don't know, it's just they have awesome songs. They have another one. "You're Pretty When I'm Drunk," which is great. And it's like, doesn't even have instruments. It's kind of all like beatbox. It's like, doo, doo, doo. And it's like they're making the noises for the beat. And it's so good. My favorite song of theirs is called 3.14, in which an opera singer just yells vagina over and over again. So anyway, it's like a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, however old I was when this came out. It was just perverted and talked about boobs a lot. And he talks about having a small penis. And just so many funny things that, like, is stuck with me. Like, I always think of the Bloodhound Gang now. So I'm not, like, a huge uber fan of them or anything. But I really enjoy their funny music. So
For sure.
That's my number 5. So, Powwow, what is your number 4?
So, my number 4 is Limp Bizkit.
It's a good one.
And I still have, I showed you the other day, but I have a hype list that I listen to when I'm working out in. 3 of his songs, or 3 of that band's songs, with Rollin', My Generation, and Nookie, come on every time I'm playing.
Yeah, but honestly, a lot of my memories of Limp Bizkit, or one that first comes to me, is so like they do a cover of the song "Faith," right, the George Michael song, and I love that first minute of the song, and then it goes into like some stupid rock, crazy metal stuff, and I didn't know it was a cover when I first came out because I'm a kid, and then someone's like, "It's a cover of a George Michael song," and I love the original George, so now I just listen to George Michael song.
Yep.
Because I'm like, oh, he just sings the whole thing. It doesn't get all crazy. But I really like Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water. Yeah. That was it.
Yep.
And, I mean, he was an icon of our childhood.
For sure.
With the red hat. And
exactly. I mean, that backward-facing hat white dude is a rocker/rapper.
I know. I don't necessarily think I think he's a good rapper.
No.
But I think the music's okay for what it is.
I mean, it is. But, again, thinking back of that nostalgia feeling and this stuff that you did, and I actually remember the one that we were listening to was My Generation. I was listening to it with Savannah, at Upward Bound on some bus. I don't remember where we
Right.
were at, but we were on some bus like we always were traveling. And we listened to it all the time, and that's one other time that
Savannah has me blocked on Facebook, has for years, like 10 years now.
She doesn't have me. We're friends on there, sir.
Well, you should tell her to unblock me. Just send her a message. Say, hey, why do you have me blocked? It's been blocked for 10 years. It's crazy.
All right. So, Mosier, what is your number 4, brother?
My number 4, and all these are pretty solid, is Reliant K.
Okay.
Now, I kind of get a little shit for a Christian band of Creed, and Reliant K was kind of a Christian band as well. At least the first 3 albums. Their 4th one is when they officially said they weren't, and then people got mad.
Yeah.
But again, I grew up in a real small town where there's nothing cool to do. Church, you do go to church every week because it literally is the only thing fun to do.
Yeah.
I saw Reliant K in concert like 3 or 4 times in high school from different church events. Like they performed at Frontier City and we went, or at YEC and we went, or just another random concert. And I really enjoyed them. I think their lead singer, I really like his voice. He has a cool voice. Mood Ring's probably my favorite song in hindsight. But I like a lot of they have a lot of good songs.
Yeah.
Like Sadie Hawkins Dance. They were cool when I was a teenager. They were the same music style as all that stupid emo shit, but they weren't all emo about it. You know, they weren't like, slit my wrist and kill me. Like, they just weren't they weren't singing about that. They were singing about cool, random stuff. And I just really liked Reliant K. Not much music in that genre is still on my iPod, and that is one that is. I convinced everyone to have a Reliant K song as our graduation song and stuff. So I was a really big fan. I don't listen much now. And so anyway, Reliant K is my number 4 pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see them being higher, but my other top 3, I'm just like, they're my shit.
For sure. All right, so my number 3, this is the only one that I have on here in top 5 that is not what you'd, I guess, consider a typical band. And that's a native drum group called Wild Band of Comanches.
Seems kind of racist. I think they need a more politically correct name.
Of Wild Band of Comanches?
Yeah, why do the Comanches have to be wild? See, I'm doing that whole where white people get offended for minorities.
Well, the Wild Band comes from a group, a native group who didn't fear anyone or any other nation. That was their group. They were called Wild Band, and then they just
I need to do one more tangent. So, you know, like where we live, we see these Chickasaw Nation commercials.
Yeah, all the time.
Chickasaw Nation, but their commercials are the worst.
All the blonde-headed, blue-eyed.
Well, they got this one where it's like, let me tell you about the history, and it's all like, our ancestors worked with the British and the revolutionaries in trade, and we didn't pick a side in the revolution. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but it doesn't seem like something you brag about. It seems like
we were neutral.
Right, it's so weird.
We were Switzerland. We stayed right in the middle, said, don't mess with this, guys.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a little nuts. But the Wild Band of Comanches, the reason I like them is, well, one, they have a lot of fancy dance songs that I dance with. And just hearing them, the different types of singers that they have, because they have a couple of different, they have this status called like an elite status of being on this band, which is that they can describe people from other bands that they have, you know, sung with before, they've known their whole life. And there's only specific people that are allowed to do that, to move back and forth from one band to another. And a lot of people, when it at least comes to the native community, they're very familiar with Northern Cree, because recently they were on the, what is the music awards? I just lost it.
Grammys?
Grammys, thank you. Mm-hmm. They sung before that. They had their big song. That was their big thing, and a lot of people know them. But Wild Band, they play in Oklahoma quite often. And it's just their songs, to me, they can move me, because every song that you dance to, you dance based on the song that you're listening to, and the beat, and your body moves that way. But it is really a really good beat to hear with them, and they're. I wish I could sing like them, because they have that stupid, crazy high pitch.
Yeah. Well, it's not. I mean, it is singing. I'm not saying it's not singing, but it's different. Like when you sing in English and a lot of other languages, you're singing from your stomach. Right, and then they're not.
No.
Like no one's like, I'm coming in with that low baritone. It's like they're trying to hit some like a certain. I don't want to say squill or shriek, because I know it sounds like insensitive, but that is kind of what it's. It's like it's a different noise they're going for than what you're used to hearing singers try to do. Like it's just totally different.
Agreed. I mean, and they can fluctuate, because when you hear them, because one of the songs I have, they start out very low. Right. I mean, and then they get higher as they go throughout the songs, and sometimes they start out really high. Now, it's just
I did like all my takes on it, and I don't have many. I've only listened to what you played in front of me. Mm-hmm. Is it's hard for me to know if anyone's good because I've never heard bad people, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've seen people try to play rock music and they suck.
Mhm.
I've never really seen
It's hard to find a native that's
like, oh yeah, they're all off, but
Yeah.
they're gonna perform here anyway, right? Like, you don't see that. So it's hard for me to judge it, and it like I think it's cool, and I've tried to imitate it before, like even on this podcast, and it comes off as racist, but it's like, if that's the case, then you think just their music in general is racist, like, because it kind of has a certain like weird tribal. Like, I could see someone playing one of the native songs on some ad, and then people being like, "That's racist to use that music." And you're like, "That's literally their native music."
Yeah,
there's just something about it that
Agreed.
is primal that I think some people aren't as comfortable with.
I think that's actually the perfect way to put it, that it is very primal. And
Right.
And that's, I mean, to
Like,
me,
I think I kind of tried to use it as influence on that one song on Call What You Want To, I don't know, I think it's the name of it.
Yep.
Because I just get kind of weird and I put all these crazy effects. It doesn't sound exactly like it, but to me, I'm like, I see a
it has
similarity.
Agreed. And I mean, one way to tell, and this is, I mean, I don't know enough about the singing portion. I just don't know enough about all the languages, or even Creek for that matter. But one thing that I was taught is that they should sound like it's one person singing throughout. Except for when they have the different areas where, like, you'll have one person,
The
hooping
couple
or
guys
something.
screaming,
Exactly.
alternating.
But and like some of these bands, like, that you see that go to, like they have world championships and stuff like that, and they're always in the top 10. And when you hear their drum, and it sounds like, and you've got 12 plus people playing this drum, and there's like one person's playing the drum and one person singing the whole time. That's when, like, yeah, you're pretty damn good.
Right.
But-
But yeah, they're always cool. I've only been to a couple powwows, and they were cool there. And then the ones you listen to were always pretty sweet.
Yeah. So that's my number 3. Mosier, what's your number 3?
All right, my number 3 was like the first rock band I really got into in 3rd grade. Learned every word of the song. Tried to sing it in the talent show and was told I could not because of the lyrics. Hindsight, completely get it. Which is Third Eye Blind.
Okay.
So the first song I learned was Semi Charm Life. And he has like this whole line, like, do a method lift you up until you break, you won't stop. And I just said, I sung that song all the time. I had the parental guidance version of the CD or whatever. Like, but it's like their first self-titled album. It's like the best first 6 songs of any album. Like, you can just play it straight through. It's got the whole, like, the Jumper song, which was a big deal. It's had a bunch of good ones. And then they have a couple more albums that I really like. They have like a few that are really good. Now, recently I learned that, like, the whole band's broken up. The lead singer feels like he owns it all, and he's trying to steer everyone else out of stuff. And I didn't know anything about this drama, but I really, really like Third Eye Blind. They have a song called Slow Motion that when I first got into smoking weed, this guy just showed me this. He goes, "Hey, you'd like Third Eye Blind? Have you ever heard the song?" It was like an unreleased song that the studio wouldn't let him put out because it's so dark that the studio just didn't want it out there. But somehow it got leaked, and it's like one of my favorite songs. Now it's talking about, like, killing someone on accident, and like how it was like kills this person and his mom's his teacher, and like it's just all this dark stuff, right? And you're like, I don't know, you're getting high for the first time listening to the song, you're like, damn, man.
For sure.
Right. And so I just like a lot of different phases of their careers, I guess, of the band, not just like one album. And I've just always been drawn to Third Eye Blind. Anytime I see something, like, oh, I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
But they have a few good albums I like. One of my favorite songs of all time. And then Semi Charm Life is still dope. So that comes to my iPod. I'm like, yeah, let's let that one play.
For sure.
So, all right, so what is your number 2?
My number 2 is, there's not many people who probably listen to the band, but I know you have, and it's Motion City Soundtrack.
Yeah. I already know. I knew that as soon as you brought up the name, I was gonna be like, everything is all right, because it's just gonna be stuck in my head, and I even listen to it.
Head for the Hills, the Kitchen's on Fire. I mean, they're just listening to them. I still listen to them now. Again, Everything's All Right is obviously one of them.
For me, the reason I didn't put them, because I do like them.
Yep.
Is that's the only album I ever had of theirs.
On the Commit This to Memory.
And I've never listened to another one. Now, I do really like that album, but I just never got into it enough to invest more than that. And I don't even know if they have other albums. They must.
Yeah, they've got. I know that Even If It Kills Me is one that I have song, because like Fell in Love Without You is one I have. But they had some recent ones. When I mean recent, I mean like 2015. This is called Panic Stations. But I know Motion City Soundtrack had its last little concert that they were doing. And one of them was at the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill in Dallas. And that was like 2 years ago. And they said, we're done touring. We've done this for a while. We're done with it all. But it's just got that I don't know, poppy.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, I'm gonna call it emo, right? Because that's what I do.
That's the best way.
And I don't think that's probably accurate. I know there's like a million subgenres of all that My Chemical Romance, all the other stuff I don't necessarily like. But theirs had a cool energy to it. I think the dude super high pitched made it. It didn't seem as crybaby-ish.
No,
like even if he was talking about his problems, he had more of a swagger like a rapper in a way.
Yep.
I guess if that makes sense, but he wasn't rapping at all. And all their songs were fun. They had cool noises.
Yeah,
I really like Motion City Soundtrack.
So I mean, I listened to them quite a bit, and I know "Commit This to Memory" is. I mean, I've listened to that album. I don't know how many.
Well, and it was one of those fun moments because there's been a few times in our life where we were unaware that the other person liked something, and then it's like, hey,
and then we found out we're like, oh shit.
And I think like one day I was just like, hey, I'm gonna play this Motion. And you're like, I have that CD.
Yeah.
And you're like, put it in. I was like, oh shit. Same with like Big Brother when that happened.
Yep.
We had no idea. We were like, I'm gonna watch this, and you're like, of course, because I love Big
Yeah,
Brother.
we gotta watch it. But yeah, that's definitely one. But that's actually one of the things that brought me back to this was when we were listening to this when we first started hanging out and whatnot. But yeah, Motion City Soundtrack, love them. They're my number 2.
All right, my number 2 and number 1, I debated, and then I just asked my wife, who should my number 1 be? And
I
she
think I
said,
know who your number 1 is.
and she goes, your number 1's this one, obviously. And I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, to me, it's obvious.
And I think you'd say the same. So once that's how. So anyway, this is 2, but I could see it being like 1B, right? Like I like them equally, but they're 2. But like I like them a lot more in Third Eye Blind.
One asterisk.
Like the skip between 3 to 2, there's a large gap. Is what I'm saying. So my number 2 is Gym Class Heroes.
Yep.
Now, some people are like, they're a rap group, but they're not. I mean, they kind of are, but they're a band from my qualifications because they have people that play instruments.
Yeah,
and then their lead singer just happens to be a dope rapper, but he sings as well. As Cruel as School Children is a really good album, but their best album is the Paper Cut Chronicles. And so, like, those first 2 albums are so, so good. Like, I listen to the Paper Cut Chronicles all the time. Like, I love it. There's a song called Faces in the Hall. I don't remember which album that one's off of. It's up there with like Slow Motion. It's one of those just like, it's a sad, depressing song, but it's so good and you got to listen to it. Now, once Gym Class Heroes kind of blew up, I had that moment. I'm sure everyone's had this with somebody where, so they have the whole like, the Cupid Chokehold song that take a look at my girlfriend, or that whole thing. And everyone loves them after that. And now I've been listening to them before that, loving them, like just bumping them everywhere. And then everyone likes them, and then you feel this whole like, they're not that cool anyway. Like you, for whatever reason, you're just like mad that other people found the thing that you liked. But then they started doing songs with Lil Wayne, and then I was like, all right, they're cool again.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, I love Travis McCoy. Is like, I wish he would just be a rapper. I mean, he's tried, and it didn't really go anywhere. I think his rapping only works in that Gym Class Hero settings because he's not like a trap rapper. Like he's saying metaphors and analogies and he's trying to rap out his inside feelings and he's like trying to be a poet. He's not trying to be tell you what the streets are like, right?
Yeah.
So like that doesn't really work in normal rap music today. And like my dream probably is honestly if I had friends who could play instruments and we made a Gym Class Heroes band. I think my music would have probably honestly worked better with what I rap about would probably fit that better than me trying to get on like a trap beat or whatever.
For sure.
So I just really like, I guess that's why Gym Class Heroes are hot. Cause I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
And I just really like their songs. I don't like some of their later stuff as much, but it's still good. Like I think the quality's still there. But fucking love Gym Class Heroes.
For sure. So my number 1 is going to be Linkin Park.
All right, let's go in. I had friends that loved them. And like, we talked about before because why I couldn't put Black Blink 182. The reason I didn't put them, the reason I didn't put Brett Favre on my football list is like I just know people that love them so much
that you can't put them on.
So like I just know people that like loved Linkin Park, and I was like, yeah, they're cool. But in comparison, I never felt like because I've only really like I love the Jay-Z stuff, right? But I don't remember all their albums
for sure. I mean, there's 3 that I remember with regards to album, and that's the Hybrid Theory, Meteora, and then Minutes to Midnight. Minutes to Midnight's the one that came out in 2007. That one I listened to religiously that year. But Linkin Park, again, the first one, Hybrid Theory, it was during the wrestling time frame. Anything in that style of music we listened to quite often. So I mean, that was what started getting me going. And then with Meteor coming out later on with Numb. And then, like I said, with
they had that cool like I like their lead singer more than I like their lead rapper. But
Yeah.
they have a lead singer and a lead rapper. That's different.
Yep. Now their lead singer unfortunately died just last year, Chester Bennington.
And then their lead rapper tried to do his own little Fort Minor project, and it all sucked.
So I love Linkin Park, and this new song that they came out with last year. I was just, because it's been so long since they came out, I'm like, I'm stoked, let's ready to hear it. And then I listened to it, I'm like, I'm sorry, but this sucks.
Right.
Like, I can't get into this weird.
It's like the way I felt. Like, I used to really like Fall Out Boy, but because they've done new stuff that I don't really like, they're not on my list
anymore. Agreed. Yeah. I actually have them as honorable mention in a very same way. But Linkin Park, I love them religiously, and I still do. It does suck that obviously they won't come out with any songs with,
unless they have any like hidden tracks or something.
And they made
What if he's still alive and it's a Tupac scenario?
Hey, I'll take it as long as we get some more albums. But yeah, Linkin Park number 1.
All right. My number 1, no surprise to those close to me.
Yep.
Is Tenacious D.
For sure.
Now, some people might say they're not a band because they're only a duo, but I didn't say they couldn't not be a duo. Yeah. First off, like, it could have the White Stripes, but they only had one dope song.
The requirement was having more than one person with instruments and singing.
So. Sure. Now, I still remember Ashley Goodwin is the girl who gave me the Tenacious D CD when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, you can borrow this. And I'd heard them because Rusty had Fuck Her Gently was the name of the song.
Mm-hmm.
That they was like their first kind of blow up thing, right? And I didn't know this at the time. They're like an HBO show back before everyone had HBO shows. And that's kind of where they got their start in a way, right?
Yeah.
And Fuck Her Gently was great. Tribute, everyone knew that song. So after those two,
I'll say Tribute.
I stole the CD. I never gave it back. Ashley Goodwin gave it to me. I don't think she'll ever listen to this, but if she does, I'm bad. I mean, my bad.
Yeah.
So I listened to that whole thing. City Hall is my all-time favorite song of theirs on there. It's about them overthrowing the government, and then they both become kings, and then they poison each other because they want to be the solo king. And it's I also love it because, like, they're for real rockers, dude. Like, if you took all the lyrics out, or you change the lyrics to like typical rock lyrics, like Jack Black's voice kills it.
Yeah.
Kyle Gass is honestly one of the greatest guitar players ever, at least in my opinion. Like, he kills it. And it's always on point. It's just funny.
Yeah.
And so because of that, people don't take us as seriously. But I would put them up against anyone. And then Dave Grohl is the drummer for the band. On every album they've ever made, Dave Grohl's their drummer, who's the drummer of Nirvana.
Yeah.
And he's awesome. He plays the devil in The Pick of Destiny. He's like, and then that's another thing. Like, I love Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny. Now, I know a lot of people hate that movie. Did not do well in the box office. I don't think a stoner musical should have done well in the box office. That's not how that works.
No.
Should have banked on DVD sales.
Exactly.
But I love that movie. And I think it's great that their original album comes out. They do tribute and that, right? About how it's basically their take on Devil Went Down to Georgia, where they've played the devil in some rock off, and they don't remember the song, so it's just the tribute to that song. But then, like, 10 years later, Pick of Destiny comes out, and they do that scene. Like, this is that they were talking about. And so I really like how it's all connected. Their newest album is called Rise of the Phoenix. I think at least their third album, unless they come with another one since then. And it didn't get hardly any love, but it even has good songs on it. And I love how they make up all this mythology. So, like, the Pick of Destiny movie is like the mythology for the band, but obviously that didn't happen. Meatloaf wasn't his dad and kick him out of the house because he wanted to rock and roll, and he went to Los Angeles, and but they've always told that story.
Yeah.
That's how they met. And so, like, in their canon, like, if they were a comic book series, right, that is true. So, like, I love the way they just have, like, their personalities. Like, Jack Black became a movie star, and they call him Hollywood Jack now, and he's a dick. And Rage Cage, who's Kyle Gass gets all, he's now feels resentful towards him. And I don't know, I love everything about Tenacious. And they have, like, the 3 acts. They have their original one, which is, like, everyone loved it. Then they had Pick of Destiny, which I love, and some people like it. And then their new one, which no one's really heard of. But I love every Tenacious D song. I don't know, they're just really good. And, like, I know this is bands, but, like, Lonely Island I really like, and rap, and they're, like, the original, not really, because Lonely Island's rap, you know what I mean? Like, there's never been anyone better at satirical humor rock and roll music, I don't think.
For sure. I mean,
so good.
I knew you were going to have Tenacious D as your number 1. I mean, that, to me, was a simple one. And I do remember you watching that movie quite often.
Love it.
But, I mean, it's a great one. I've listened to enough with you.
Well, and then people love School of Rock, right? And that was Jack Black kind of put it on the map, like, oh, he really can't do this. But it was like, when that came out, I was like, yes, he has. You should listen to Tenacious D. It's so good.
All right, so some of the honorable mentions, we've already brought a few of them up. One, like I mentioned earlier, if there was a 6 or a 5B, it would be Green Day.
Right.
And then one, looking back at my wife's influence, Metallica. She's a huge Metallica fan.
See, I just, and I think I'm the same way. It goes all the rap music. I have to be able to hear the words.
For sure.
If I can't hear words, and then if I don't connect with what they're saying, like I'm just a lyric person.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why I rap music, right? And I get pissed when people are like, cool beat, and they talk over me rapping. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm the same with like, I'm not saying it's not good music, but if you listen to all the rap or the rock bands I like Most Shitty Soundtrack, you can hear what that guy's saying.
Yeah, the whole time.
So anytime it's like, and I get it, vocals aren't as important as certain rock genres.
Mm-hmm.
And they're mixed that way to where, but it's like if I don't understand it, it's hard for me to follow.
For sure.
But I mean, there's been a couple Metallica songs or random rock bands that I'll have on my iPod. I'm like, yeah, this one's cool, one song, but I've never been able to be like,
I'm gonna
listen to this whole album.
I feel you. I can spot.
See, like I really like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Mm-hmm. They almost made my list. Again, I just think I'm not as big a fan as other people are.
Same reason why I didn't put Kiss.
Yeah, my mom, that was her favorite band when she was growing up, as she told me. Jack's Mannequin is like a band kind of like Motion City Soundtrack. They were really close to making it for me. Mm-hmm. There's one album, a few songs I have on my iPod that I really like of theirs. I just don't really know enough about them. And then the Gorillaz, I really like all the songs I know of theirs, but I haven't heard that many songs of theirs.
Agreed.
If that makes sense.
No, I feel you.
And then, like we mentioned earlier, Blink 182.
Yep.
They're really cool. I just know I'm not like what do they call their blink heads or I don't know, whatever they are.
Whatever their stuff is.
Yeah.
No, I mean, AC/DC is another one. And we talked about this the other day.
Well, see, one of my good friends growing up, him and his dad loved AC/DC. Mm-hmm. And something I don't think you're fully aware of, their original lead singer died at one point in time. So like their early stuff, the guy has more of like a bluesy voice. Mm-hmm. And he wrote all of their hit songs. And then he died, and they replaced him with the guy that we think of like on Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Than that voice. And then the way the story goes, I think, is the original lead singer wrote all the songs that this dude performed on Black and Black. So a lot of fans are like, anything after this date's not the real deal. And I'm only aware of that because, like I said, my friend and his dad were like all deep into this AC/DC stuff. Whereas in me, I hear Thunderstruck come on, I think of Varsity Blues, and I'm like, this is awesome. Just how my mind goes.
No, I hear you.
I also really liked Aerosmith.
Yeah, I was going to mention
when we were younger. Weezer. I liked Weezer a lot. Again, I just know people that like them a lot, and I'm just not there. Disturbed had one awesome song that'll forever be great with the Down with the Cygnus song.
Kind of like mine with Drowning Pool that I have with Bodies. I mean, that's about the only thing I'm going to listen to.
Do you remember that? Guns N' Roses, I had a moment I got really into them, but it didn't last a long time, right?
Yeah.
It was like when everyone else got into Journey there in like 2005, I got into Guns N' Roses.
Yep.
I also really like Queen. I don't know enough. They were going to be my number 5. I just don't know enough about Queen's history to like Bloodhound Gang. I can be number 5 because who the fuck knows much about Bloodhound Gang? Yeah. But Queen, I put number 5. Like I really like them. And then someone's like, I know everything about Fred Mercury, whatever his name was, and Queen, and they're gonna like. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna put them. But I do really like all their songs.
Yeah.
And then my favorite, my wife has a record collection her parents gave her. And out of all the records we have like classic Michael Jackson records, like all these awesome ones. My favorite one is the Doobie Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
I just really like their record, so I put them as a
So what's your take on the Beatles?
I think they're super overrated.
I knew what you'd say. I just wanted to ask it.
I mean, I think it's important what they did, and I think they made drug culture, they brought it closer to the norm, and I don't know if that's good or bad, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And I think they did a lot of things individually, but looking at their music, I personally think it's overhyped. And people be like, they had 19 hit records. And it's like, yeah, you want to know why? They have 4 songs on a record.
Yeah.
Jay-Z was over putting 4 songs on a CD. He'd have 19. And if Eminem was, guess what? He'd have 28 goddamn platinum records. So, I mean, I think they were important. I really do. But I don't know if they were like to me, I think 70s rock really solidified. The early stuff was still, and it's again because when we grew up, it looked so tame. Like when we watch Elvis, we're like, how is that scandalous? But people were like, he's shaking his groin, making women addicted to the D.
Exactly. It's like, no.
Here, Koopy texted me some of her bands finally, so we'll see what her honorable mentions were.
I do have to bring one hair band. That's Twisted Sister.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't remember where I heard. Obviously, we're not going to take it. I don't remember where I heard it, but I just remember sitting in someone's car, listening to that, and just starting to get crazy with it. I'm not a huge fan of them, so that's why I didn't bring them up till now. But I do envy that time frame of I can just dress. I don't give a shit how I dress.
Right.
I'm just like female. It doesn't matter. I'm still gonna pull.
Right.
You know
I mean, the whole glam thing it was a weird time.
Yeah.
It's different. So QB wrote, I know she likes Iron and Wine. She just doesn't know if that qualifies as a band by our standards, but I don't know enough about them to say yes or no.
I don't even know who they are. So sure, I'm going.
I've heard their music. It's pretty music, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Foo Fighters she likes, and I like Foo Fighters. They're cool.
Yeah.
Radiohead she likes, which I've heard them as well. Dave Matthews Band, which since there's a band there, I think it qualifies.
You would hope
then
so.
Her favorite, whenever me and her first met, were the Flaming Lips. But now she thinks Wayne Coyne, I think her lead singer, is like a pompous douchebag, so she doesn't like him anymore.
I think she said pretentious dickhead or something.
Yeah, something like that. So she's not a fan anymore of his as much, but she loves all their old stuff. So like that used to be an easy, like I'll buy her an old record of theirs, but now she doesn't even like them, so I got to figure out what's my go-to now. But all right, so that's all I had. Are there any more things you had to add there, Powwow?
I do not. I am glad that we're able to get back on the podcast this week. We'll have another one next Sunday. We don't have any surgeries coming up or anything like that, so that should be grand. I know next week was supposed to be top 5 HBO shows, I believe.
Yeah. Well, and this is going to be the episode that comes out before Valentine's Day, and since we got pushed, we had one of like top 5 celebrity crushes that we were going to do today and do bands last week. So we could do crushes next week, or we could do HBO. I mean, either one.
I say we do crushes next week, the week of Valentine's Day, and then the following we'll do.
Right, so it'll be like a week late, but yeah, we can do that. So the rules there, I'm going to say 16 and below. I mean, cause childhood crushes, like, because when I'm 18 and I'm like, oh, this chick's hot, that's 18, that's different. Maybe not. I don't know. Than me being like, oh, look at Lizzie McGuire when I'm like 13. Right?
Yeah.
It's like
I don't know. I've got 1, 2, and 3 in my head right now, so.
I know you're number one.
I was like, you should know my number one easily.
I mean, I know my number one right now as well, and I know my wife knows it because when I brought it up, she goes, "You're gonna have this person." I'm like, not as thrilled about the topic. But then she mentioned like 4 dudes off Gilmore Girls in like 3 seconds,
real quick,
and I'm like
same thing.
Yeah. So next week we'll do Celebrity Crushes. Week after that we'll do top 5 HBO TV shows.
Yeah. And like always, guys, if there's any suggestions, corrections, please email us at thepowwowwithmo@gmail.com. That's THEPOWWWWITHMO@gmail.com.
And subscribe on iTunes if you can, even if you don't listen on iTunes, that'd be cool.
Yep.
Do ratings and reviews. Somehow that helps us out. I just feel like we're getting a little better, so we should have some people listen to us.
Yeah,
cool.
And whoever you are from San Francisco, please send us an email so we can figure out who you are.
My new theory on this, because, San Francisco, like tech center, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's probably just people, like programs there that automatically listen to podcasts and store them for whatever purpose. I can't even think of any other reason that, because for instance, like this last week, because we didn't put out a podcast, we've had about, I think it was 70 listens in the last 40. Yeah. 40 to 70, something in that range. I don't remember at the exact moment. And they went down, but then still like over half of them, San Francisco. Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but I know my wife went to a like girls get together last night. They got kind of wild and crazy. And one of her friend, Marissa, writes in, is I guess our number one fan. And we got brought up a couple times. She misheard some stuff. She thought I said there was an axe murderer on my football team that killed somebody. So I had to straighten that out. That wasn't the case. But so we have a few fans, I guess late 20s, early 30s women is going to be our demographic.
Wait.
And I guess just the 30-year-old people.
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully we'll get more people listen to us. I know I've got some rap friends trying to listen. Yeah. Hopefully they like it. We got way more listens on my rap episode than most episodes because I hit up everyone of like, not everyone, but everyone I wanted to listen to. Yeah. Because there's some people I don't want to listen to it. Like, I hope if my mom ever gets to that one, she just skips it.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm good. I don't need to hear anything.
Exactly.
But we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
All right. So anything else going on in your life?
No, finally my wife's better. My kids are doing great.
I'm so happy Valentine's Day is almost here. Because with like my wife, Christmas, December, me and the wife's birthday's both in January.
Yep.
And then Valentine's Day is in February. And by February, you're like, I don't know what to get you for
Exactly.
a gift. I don't have any money for a gift. And then we're married, so we're both want to be like, let's just not get gifts.
Yep.
But then you feel like you have
I feel
to.
like you need to.
Because even if you made the deal, don't. One of us still would.
Exactly. And then you're like, shit, I should have
So the other day when we were just at the store, I was like, let's go buy each other a box of chocolates right now.
That's the way to do it.
And then I'm going to like get her flowers and stuff. Then the flower place won't deliver to the school on Valentine's Day because the superintendent forbade it. And so
What?
I have to go it's a whole thing.
Dickhead.
I know. So I feel like I'm going to mess up Valentine's Day. Like I'm going to forget
Yeah, that
something.
is what it is.
But
Set a reminder on your phone. That's what it is.
I know. I actually told Kubi, I go, just remind me when it's Valentine's Day.
By the way, it's Valentine's Day, Aaron.
Yeah, and then I'll figure it out.
That's good.
All right, that's all we got this week, man.
All right, y'all be safe. Peace.
Peace.